Heavenly Father, may we take a moment to reflect on the people who have served our nation and to those who have dedicated their life for our giving. Bless them who unselfishly sacrifice their time, their lives, and for us to have freedom. We ask that you continue to keep our nation under your care, provide us with a clear vision of your will for our understanding. Guide this board, Mohave County, in the decisions before us, and give us understanding and integrity as we exercise these duties. Amen.
Amen. Supervisor Moss.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have Supervisor Angus and Supervisor Johnson on the line?
Here.
Yes.
Okay. Are you snowed in there?
A little.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to call for executive session to be held on March 17th, 2014 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance to ARS 38-431.03, A3 and 4.
So moved.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Are there any committee or legislative reports?
I have none this morning.
I have none, Madam Chair.
Okay. Do we have a county administrator's report?
I have no report this morning, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 6, 2014 Board of Supervisors meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the January 6, 2014 Board of Supervisors meeting.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I don't believe we have any call to public this morning. I don't see any here. So, at this point in time, I'll close the call to public. Okay. All right, the consent agenda is items 5 through 36 and will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion minus any items pulled for discussion. So Supervisor Moss, do you have any items to be pulled?
None, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Item 33.
Item 33, okay.
And with that, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, item 5 through 36, with the exception of item 33.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, discussion on item 33?
Yes, I'd like to point out item number 33, and if we could have our folks from the accounting office come up and give us a little bit of report. I'd like to exemplify some of the extra work that was involved in recouping extra dollars from Mohave County, and I think that we should notarize those folks and make sure that we give them a huge thank you. Mr. Helper here to explain.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and Supervisors and County Manager. This is Gene Hepler, the manager of OMB. One of the things that we're looking at is in March 7, 2005, we had a declaration of flood emergency in Beaver Dam Littlefield. And in doing that, what we look at and putting together a team, we work with Public Works and Finance and OMB to review those allowable costs. And on the Beaver Dam Littlefield, initially submitted $779,000. OMB and Finance reviewed it, determined that we should have $836,169 in claim fees. The state and FEMA came back and said that there was $805,000 eligible. So we ended up getting 90% of that money with a combination of from the state and FEMA. And then on the 2010 declared disaster, we put in a claim for $89,000 from Public Works. We reviewed it with Finance and OMB. We asked for $162,302. They declared eligible for $136,836, and we got $79,000 in our of the funds we asked for. So what's critical in this process is working up front with Finance and OMB, working with Public Works and other departments to make sure that we capture all our expenses and go after claiming it. So Kathy is part of that team. And I guess my staff member Judy didn't make it down, but those are the ones that work on it. So we're glad that we're able to put a team together to go after and get reimbursed the money that we're eligible for. Thank you.
And a job well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just wanted to point that item out. I'll make a motion to accept the final payment.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm sorry, I was remiss. I should have pulled item 26 because I do have someone that wants to speak to this. So if, let's see, Mr. Stoddard, are you here? Would you like to speak to item 26, please?
Yes, can I approach? I've got a folder for each of you with some explanatory material. Can I give this to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It just has pictures and a map, which makes the issue a little clearer. It's not complicated, I promise.
I think we've been through this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I am opposed to this road abandonment. We own impacted property adjacent near the portion of Tom Reed Road that will be abandoned. The current administrative review process does not require notification to nearby impacted owners. We physically use the Tom Reed Road to access our property by ATV and foot. Physical access to the rear portion of our property is severed by the proposed abandonment. The abandonment will negatively impact the enjoyment and value of our property and render it nearly inaccessible for all practical purposes. We respectfully request the Board of Supervisors to table the item so that additional information may be brought to the board's attention. We would also like to authorize the county attorney to schedule a meeting with us. And 3, authorize the county attorney to revisit the case and present an opinion to the board in light of this additional information not included in the administrative process. Thank you for your consideration. Would you have any questions for me or?
Any questions?
Madam Chair, if I can ask a question. Is there still, with the abandonment, would there still be access to your property? I noticed there was a statement that would prevent access to the rearward portion of your property, but would it be completely cut off your property?
For all practical purposes and for any kind of road or easy access, the thing is, it is a mountain right there. The Gato Road is a graded access through a natural pass. Wallapai Road, which is on your papers in yellow, is completely undeveloped, and it goes straight over a very steep and rugged mountain.
So there's a statement that physical access to the rear portion of our property is severed by the proposed abandonment.
Yes.
Would there be still remain physical access to the front portion of your property?
Yes, there is a road that goes to the front, but it's on a very, very steep mountain. The front is like on this side, and then the mountain goes straight up behind our house. The road comes around the back of the mountain, and it's on the other side. It shows on the left side, there's a map that shows the Gatto Road junction with Tom Reed, and on the right side, it shows the mountain with the road that it would have to go over to be Wallapai to access the back.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question of Mr. Ekstrom?
I'm sorry.
May I ask a question of Mr. Ekstrom?
Sure.
What would be the process if we wanted to reconsider item 26, bring it back next month after we've had a chance to look into this access issue?
Madam Chairman, Mr. Moss, you'd need to have a motion for reconsideration and made by a member who voted in favor of it, and then it would have to come back on the agenda.
Do we do that now, or do we do it next at the next meeting's agenda? Do we do the reconsideration motion?
Agendized as such.
Okay, so we can do nothing now. We would have to see about bringing it back next meeting 2 weeks from now in order to reconsider it if we wanted to do such a thing.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
I have a question of our county manager or administrator. Mike, has this been gone through over and over again? It seems like some time ago, I spent some time talking with some of the people out at Public Works and different places on what was going on here, and there didn't seem to be a real viable solution to this.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, it's my understanding that this abandonment had been approved by resolution in a previous board meeting, and one of the conditions of the abandonment was adequate compensation for the adjacent property owner to take possession of the right-of-ways once it is abandoned. So yes, it had gone through the process of abandoning the roadway.
We lost Hildy, they're trying to get her back. We lost Hildy. so
Yes,
they're trying to get her back.
I got a message.
Okay, so we may want to pause. We lost Supervisor Angus, do we need to pause? They're trying to get her back online.
Okay,
It's up to the chair.
we'll pause until we can get Supervisor Angus back online so she can,
So we don't,
what's going on.
we don't need a motion then to,
To continue this item until subsequent meeting. In the meantime, you can bring it back as a motion to reconsider.
okay.
So we make that motion now? Or do we make it, do we have it agendized for the next meeting to make the motion for reconsideration?
Madam Chair, Mr. Moss, you need to deal with a particular item on the agenda one way or the other. If you're not going to approve it, then I would suggest you continue it to a future meeting.
Well, that's why I was
Meantime.
asking, because we've already reapproved it on the consent agenda before Mr. Stoddard spoke. So I was wondering, now that it's been approved,
I'm sorry.
okay, what's the process to, if we wanted to reconsider this? Not saying we will, I mean, that's up to items, but if we wanted to get more information and reconsider the actual transfer of the property, what would be the process?
Okay, I missed the fact that the consent agenda was approved. It happened so quickly. And then you brought it back because you noticed that we had someone who wanted to speak.
Well, we're very efficient with
So-
our time.
You are. I think what we need to do is to deal with the issue of the fact that it's been approved. And I suppose at this point in time, you can make a motion to reconsider that item, bring it forward on the agenda, if that motion is successful, and then move to continue it to a subsequent meeting, take whatever action you need to do with regard to the original resolution when it comes up again, if it comes up again.
Okay, I'll make the motion for reconsideration.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then I'll make a motion for it to be brought back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Supervisor Angus, are you on the line?
I'm on the line.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need a vote on that, bringing it back to the next meeting?
Okay, so it will be brought back at our, and be on the agenda for our next meeting, 17th, right?
You need to
Okay.
Take a vote on that. You've taken a vote on reconsidering it, now you need to
Okay.
reconsider it.
Okay, All right, do I have a motion for it?
There's one on the floor right now,
Okay,
Madam.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, all righty.
I'm done
Okay.
here? Excuse me, am I done here?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your...
Come back next week, or next meeting.
Okay. All right, we'll go on to the regular agenda. And the first item, item 37 was pulled by Cindy Landa Cox, the treasurer. And so we will proceed on to item 38, discussion and possible action, RE partnering with the Lake Havasu Area Chamber of Commerce, Tourism Bureau, and other entities regarding the wayfinding signage. Now, I have several letters here and several requests to speak. I'm wondering, it looks like that pretty much all of them are in favor of participating with this. So do we have a spokesman, or do each one of you? I do have Mr. Callahan.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Supervisors. I'm Don Callahan, the Vice Mayor of Lake Havasu City. And I'd just like to speak on behalf of Mayor Mark Nexon and the City Council. We are in favor of this program and this entire program that's been put together by our CVB. We think it would enhance our city visitorship. We think it would tend to keep people in our city longer. That would help all of us in the city as well as the county in our revenues. So we really feel strongly about this program. It's had all of our city council people have looked at this program and approved it. So we really feel that we'd like to see you participate in this program, and we think there's a real benefit to the entire county for what we're proposing to do here. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Casson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Supervisors. I'm Charlie Cassens. I'm the City Manager, Lake Havasu City. I, too, am here to voice our support for this item. Back even pre-recession, when the housing bubble kind of burst around here, it caused us at the city to refocus on tourism as a primary economic driver in this region, not just in Lake Havasu City. And as a part of that investigation, that internal investigation and analysis, it became apparent that some of the relics of a young, growing community was this smattering of signage, directional signs that kind of popped up as needed when a young community was growing. And so this program is not just about signs. It's about polishing the community. It's about bringing things up a level, making us more sophisticated, helping our visitors to find their way around the community and the county, and also on the highway, which is our main backbone transportation corridor through the community. And we're working with ADOT on their component of the wayfinding program, and we would strongly suggest that the county see the value in this investment in our economic future.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Supervisor Angus.
Okay. Mr. Casson, explain all the sources of the money to everybody. So it's the city is going to put in how much?
The city has committed to about $300,000 for this project. Our city council has identified it as a priority, and so we have included it in our capital improvement program budget, and it's a two-year program worth about $300,000.
And what other sources of money?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Let me, if I may, Madam Chair. Doug Traub, the president of our Convention Visitors Bureau.
Yes, I think Doug is going to be speaking next.
There's a total of about 8 partners that will also be kicking in about $175,000 in addition to the $300,000 to be contributed by the city. So the net effect will be that in this partnership we're proposing with the county's portion will only be 40% of the total cost. The city will be picking up 40%, which would match the county's investment, and the rest will be picked up by private sources. Those include the Convention and Visitors Bureau, that includes the state park, that includes Arizona State University, and several other entities that feel very, very strongly about this program.
Okay, so without the county's money, how much do you have?
We have 475 of the 775,000.
Okay, so about, all right, about $500,000 without the, so even if the county doesn't, are you still going to proceed with the project?
Well, it sort of all works together, and you can't just put up signs in one place and not follow through. And when you put up one sign with 3 panels on it, it leads to other ones. So it's sort of all interconnected.
So, so if the county doesn't go along with it, you're not going to do anything?
There'll be a possibility maybe do some limited things, but certainly the kind of impact that you can expect to see for the county, the Bureau estimates about a $10 million sales benefit.
I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
asking if there's going to be any signs. Is it an all or nothing proposition?
It really should all be done at once. They all have to be bid at once, installed at once.
Will it be done though? If the county, will something be done with the $500,000 that has been set aside?
Some portion of the plan might be incorporated, but certainly not the full extent of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I think, well, let's see. We've got, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Comments or
Supervisor
questions?
Watson?
Okay. Starting off this next fiscal year, we've learned that we're going to be $800,000 less in general fund dollars than we had last year. That equals approximately 5 security people that we need in the jail. That equals probably 3.5 people that will be on the sheriff's department full force. While I do appreciate the Wayfarers program, I think it's a great project. It certainly is encumbering of a huge project that is down in Lake Havasu City. A couple questions that I do have, and in the Wayfarer packet that was given to us, there is not a number of signs involved. There is not a number of dimensions of signs, and nowhere is there any indication of any documentary signs or district signs, or the costs of those signs delineated to each. So I find it a little bit difficult for me to propose the county spending $300,000 on a concept that is not specifically outlined as to the direct and each and every cost.
May I say something, Madam Chair? Because I do understand Supervisor Watson's statements and concerns, and I think there is something of a misconception here. And that's because as an attorney, I tend to talk too much, and so I'm trying to talk and put together smaller agenda items without going into so much detail. And maybe I'm losing something. I should go back to the 2-paragraph long agenda items that I have a habit for. This is what it boils down to. There is a request that the county invest $300,000 of a $775,000 total cost into this wayfinding program in Lake Havasu City. That's $300,000 that we would have difficulty coming up with because of the budget shortfalls which we anticipate experiencing in this coming budget year. However, there are a couple things that I think we should consider, and I think the appropriate solution is to turn this over to staff so they can consider it and report back to us on some of these details. For example, there's been some information that this would generate $10 million to Mohave County and Lake Havasu City annually. So there gets to a point where you say, okay, if you want to treat the county like a business, does things hurt financially? Yes, But when you have a business that's hurting financially, you make changes, you make moves, you try to increase revenue, you invest in order to increase that revenue. And this may be, not saying it is, but I believe it is, but I think it's something that we need to have staff look into, because I believe that this is a method of growing revenue for the Lake Havasu City and for Mohave County, and it might be a smart move for us to make, even in these hard times. Now, I say this because there are questions that Supervisor Watson posed, which I think probably should be answered, because we really need a full, complete information, and I think, Gary, that you're correct, that there's additional information that we would need. But I don't think we should be hasty. The second thing is we have time, because this is what, the third day of March, excuse me. My wife's birthday was yesterday, I should know that. So the third day of March. So I think it's something that would be good for us to turn this into staff and give them a two-tier analysis. Does this make financial sense? Is it a financially worthy project that the county needs to get involved in with Lake Havasu? And two, do we have a funding source for it? And target this coming budget year, not immediately. We're not going to spend it all or write the check tomorrow, but that for this coming funding year, 2014, 2015, does it make financial sense, and can we find the funding source? And then have staff come back to us with the report after speaking with Mr. Traub, after working with Mr. Traub, after speaking with Lake Havasu City and working with them, and come back to us with their recommendations and their opinions on those two critical points. Because sometimes we spend money and we earn a lot of money, and sometimes we spend money and we just simply waste it. This may be an opportunity which staff should look into to see, if we spend this money, will we collect more in the way of benefit? So it would help us get out of our jam financially.
May I say something? I think this is a slippery slope. You know, Lake Havasu comes to us for money for something like this that will maybe not help them out. There's really no way of measuring this. And if there is, it would take years. You know, and then as the representative of Bullhead City, why would we be choosing Lake Havasu and not choosing to do this in Bullhead City? And then there's Kingman. So I think something this substantial, I just, at this point in our budget, the way our budgets are looking and our revenue shortfalls, I just see this as kind of I don't know any other way to say it. It's kind of like wasting staff's time. I understand, but even if there's no way that you can positively come back and say this is going to, this much money. There's just no way. So, I'm obviously a no vote on it, and I just wanted to put that on the record.
Okay. Madam Chair, may I say something?
Yes.
If Lake Havasu City is before us now with a plan, with partners who have put money on the table, it may be that someday Kingman or Bullhead City come to us with a similar proposal with the plan and with additional money on the table, but neither of those two cities are here yet. I will say that if they did come to us with a similar proposal, and if they did have data to indicate it would be financially cost effective, I would vote yes for Kingman and Bullhead, just like I would vote yes for Lake Havasu, and intend to vote yes for Lake Havasu. So the issue really, in my view, it's an economic decision. Is it cost effective? Does it generate more in revenue for us over time than it will cost? That's step one. Step two, do we have a funding source? We're in the early days of the 2014-2015 budget, so this is the time to have the Lake Havasu City interact with staff to see what the answers are on those two questions, and it is the time to get, in the next couple months, a response, and then we decide whether to invest the money, if it's in our advantage and the advantage of Lake Havasu City.
Okay.
And I'd put that in a form of a motion, by the way, that we direct staff to engage with Lake Havasu City on reporting back to the board for inclusion in our next budget year. One, the cost benefits of the wayfinding program to Lake Havasu City and Mohave County, and two, whether there is a funding source which would allow us to participate.
Okay. Supervisor Watson, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I'd like to add a couple more things. As to the $800,000 shortfall, and we don't know that should be an exact figure, but it is a substantial figure. Last year, we were able to give our people a 2.5% raise, and that was very much appreciated by all our people. And they've been under that position of no raises for a number of years. While I really appreciate this project and I see its value, I do think that the project is more of a Lake Havasu City project, one in which encumbers the abilities of all those entities down there, and I wish them well. But at this point, I'd like to make a motion that we do not follow through with this request.
So we already have a motion on the table?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
a,
we have a motion on the floor, I believe.
yeah, I made a motion first. Whether I get a second or not, we'll find out here very shortly.
I believe that you didn't receive a second.
Well, I didn't ask for a second, I don't think, Supervisor Moss, I'm sorry. But do we have a second to Supervisor Moss's motion?
I take that as a no, Madam Chair.
I think so. Okay. Well, shall we pick the next one? Shall we? Is there a second to Supervisor Watson's motion?
Well, I'll second it. Do we even need a second? Can we just
Okay.
move on? Do we need to have a motion made about it?
If my motion failed, I mean, there really needs to take no action because we've taken no action.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we could vote to deny it if you'd like, Supervisor Watson. But if we're not taking action because I didn't get the votes to get an action, I don't know if we need to, I think it just dies because due to a lack of a second is the proper procedure. But it's up to you, Supervisor Watson, on that point.
I'll ask our attorney. What do
Madam Chairman, board members, Mr. Watson has a motion, he's waiting for a second. If there's a second.
I'll
we can vote
second
on
it. I'll second Supervisor
Okay.
Watson.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I oppose, so I'm a no on that.
Okay, I think the motion passed.
That one did.
That one did. Okay. All right, let's go on. Let me see. Doug, why don't, now, there's a Mr. Byrne that would like to talk. I wanted to save you for last, Doug, because I figured that you would have the most to say. How about Mr. Byrne? Is he here? Okay. You have something to say? And then Doug, you make your presentation, okay?
Good morning. This is in regards to number 39 with the liquor license event application. Really, I'm just here to kind of introduce myself and put a face to the event application and its opposing, so I want to kind of give a little bit of background on myself. I personally have a great tie to the city of Lake Havasu. For many years, since 1979, my parents have owned property there. I took my first steps there. 10 years ago, I decided to make Havasu my home, and since then I've been doing event promotions there, trying to better what I think is a city that I love. That being said, the foundation I created to kind of do this event, the event was a nonprofit idea to do a beer festival and tribute band. So it was more just an idea to bring something else to the table of what Havasu can offer through tourism and just entertainment for people in general. The idea was, at that same time, with a special event liquor license, be a great opportunity to open a foundation that I've been wanting to do for a while, which is to garner money and then use that money for nonprofit ventures for helping other people do events to kind of prosper in Lake Havasu. With all the problems that we've had in late because of the process that's changed over in the last few weeks, I have resubmitted the information for the liquor license and actually teamed up with a nonprofit called Guiding Light. And therefore, I had some paperwork sent in or some letters sent in kind of verifying who I am, the Chamber of Commerce, the CVB, both, and the Parks and Recs, just kind of explaining who I am as a person and a promoter, and maybe the idea of I'm an upstanding citizen with no kind of ill regards or any kind of malicious kind of ideas for what the money was going to. So I'm here mostly just to kind of maybe give light to whatever was opposing the event.
Okay, I'm sorry. This was item 39, and it is for a special event liquor license for Mob Scene Foundation.
Yes, ma'am.
They're at 669 London Bridge Road. I do have, the sheriff has opposed that special liquor license. So, any discussion? Any more discussion?
Madam Chair, if I could, is there a representative of the sheriff's office here who could describe to us the sheriff's opposition to us granting this liquor license?
Madam Chair, can you hear me?
Yes,
Madam
yes,
Chair?
Supervisor Johnson.
I can explain that. This came in came in late to the county. Sheriff did not have adequate time to research it. The gentleman who spoke, I don't know him, but I think he's the man that put it forward. The application we have in front of us is for a nonprofit that is non-existent. That's the reason at this time what we're pushing for a no vote on this.
So may I ask Supervisor Johnson a question, Madam Chair?
Yes, yes.
Supervisor Johnson, did I hear you correctly that there's not a legitimate nonprofit sponsoring this event?
In the application we have before us, no.
Okay.
I had also submitted a reapplication to sue on Friday for a change in that nonprofit, because there has been some problems with Sue vetting the nonprofit, which is understandable. It was a process quite new and obviously late in the game, so I want to make sure to avoid any problems with the event coming up next week, that we already resubmitted information with a new nonprofit, and that would be the Guiding Light Education Center. And that was given to Sue on Friday.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Supervisor Johnson.
Yes, that item has been submitted to my office. The only way we could have done that, because there's no, with the 24-hour notice, will have to be with, if we get a chance to research it and look at it. The board in the past has given authorization for districts to approve something and come back for a ratification at our next board meeting, but there's a lot of confusion. People keep saying that the rules have changed. The rules never have changed. People have been going around the rules that are set in state statutes. The rules are now being enforced by the county, and as you know, we've gone through this at different meetings. So with the liquor license in front of us, it's not correct.
So, Madam Chair, may I ask another question?
Yes.
And this is for Supervisor Johnson. Is it possible that, because I'm making my hearing, I used to work on jets, Supervisor Johnson, so my hearing is not the best sometimes, so I'm trying to make sure I pick up your voice, is that the board could authorize the supervisor in the district that this is being held, which I imagine would be yourself, to sign off on this once the paperwork has been cleared up, and then come back to the board after the fact to have it ratified. And that way this event could still go through, assuming the paperwork gets cleared up in time.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Moss?
Yes, Supervisor Johnson.
I'd have to ask the county attorney. We've had this agreement in the past, or Attorney Ekstrom, we've had this agreement in the past that districts could go ahead with liquor licenses when they're submitted late, which we try not to get because then it doesn't get a good vetting period. But I know County Attorney Ekstrom, is that still in effect, or with the new board, is that not in effect?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, we have in the past done that, ratified special event licenses, particularly because of the problems of getting them in on time. There's no procedure for that. We've just done that. The board, I suppose, could authorize this contingent upon ratification, but that's going to be after the event occurs. So there's no remedy in the event there's a problem. You could also do it contingent upon Supervisor Johnson's office determining that it's an appropriate nonprofit, which would probably, I think, the only way you could legally go forward with it. And you can give him that authority.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion that we authorize Supervisor Johnson's office to approve or disapprove special event liquor license for Mob Scene Foundation special event to occur March 8th, 2014, subject to Supervisor Johnson's office confirming that the beneficiary of that is an appropriate nonprofit.
Good motion.
And I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Procedurally, the board is not the last sign-off on this special event license. Once the board approves it, ratified or otherwise, we send it to the Arizona Department of Liquor License, and they are the ones that do the final approval and issue the license. The event is to take place on the 8th, so we could try to get it down there today, just there's a very short window now.
I think the timeframes, the shortness of the timeframes are known, but all we can do is try to do what we can for them in the time that we have. And I think the motion that's on the table does what we can for them at this stage in the game.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Traub, you want to make your little presentation?
I'll just say it's, the item that I was here to speak on has already been voted on, and it comes as a little bit of a disappointment. We want what's best for the county. All of us here at this podium, every one of you that been elected are here looking at what's best for our county. And we brought something to you in good faith, in the best interest we thought of the county. And it's a disappointment that so many of the other economic initiatives of the past have focused primarily on Kingman, and it's good for the county. The number one source of cities that provide revenue to this organization is Lake Havasu. Here's something that could grow counties' revenues for the entire county. All of us could benefit from. And I would encourage, maybe at a later meeting, to maybe reconsider this item. There's $76 million general fund y'all next year have, and it's just like putting a kid through college when you got to replace the roof on your house. You find a way to do it. This is a way to grow the economy and help fix some of the economic problems we have in this county, that we don't have enough revenue to address all of our needs. This is a strong initiative that's endorsed by every one of the economic agencies in Lake Havasu City. It's been vetted by the city, and each of you individually had an opportunity when I brought it to you to review over 50 pages, tabloid size, that lay out every single sign, more than 135 of them. Every single sign has a message on it. Every single sign has a budget attached to it. This thing has been combed over by the city. It's passed the asset test. It's a very fine wayfinding program, probably the best in the Southeast. And maybe at a later date, it has an opportunity for a fair shot. So I thank you for at least having given it some consideration, and I hope there's a chance we can repair the bridge that sort of got blasted today.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Traub. Mhm. Okay. Item 40 is to summarize the issue and desired action clearly attached with the backup material to reappoint John S. Taylor and Jill Davis as judges pro tempore for the Superior Court in Mohave County from July 1, 2014 through June 30th, 2015. Is Kip here? Come on up, Kip.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board of Supervisors. Yes, this item, we meant to include it in last board meeting's items with all of our other pro tem appointments, and somewhere between sending it over, it got waylaid, so my apologies for that. Judge Taylor and Judge Davis would be used as just on an emergency basis when our other Superior Court judges might not be available. I don't believe last year we used them very much at all. During the judicial conference, we tend to go out and try to recruit one of our local retired judges who then serve pro bono. So this would just be for emergency purposes, and they've been doing it. They've been appointed for the last few years, so we appreciate your consideration.
Madam Chair, I'd move to approve the appointment or reappointment of John S. Taylor and Jill Davis as Judge Pro Tem Spore, according to Administrative Order 2014-07.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. I think, unless someone has something to say, we can adjourn this meeting. And Supervisor Johnson and Supervisor Angus, please stay dry and stay warm, okay?
We will try. Thank you very much.
Good luck. Okay. Meeting adjourned.